Hi, my name is Helen and my channel is North Girl Gone South. Today we're going to make a centerpiece. As soon as I saw these pumpkin shapes, I knew I wanted to buy two of them, put them together, and make a centerpiece. Now, I did not show you me wrapping this pumpkin because, no joke, it took a long time. So I wanted to save you that painful thing, and I wrapped it off camera. This is one of the signs from Dollar Tree. I just ripped out that cardboard piece and put in some of the tumbling tower blocks because I'm going to be gluing the pumpkin to those tumbling tower blocks just so that I could stand up, because I want this to be a centerpiece. It doesn't have to be a centerpiece. It could be in a window. It could be against a wall. It's just, I'm going to make it pretty much 360 so that no matter where you look at the pumpkin, it's going to be pleasant to look at. So I did wrap the entire pumpkin with jute from Dollar Tree. You don't have to. It is a metal wire. You can spray paint it. You can leave it the green color that it is. I use zip ties at the bottom, at the top. You don't see it because I wrapped it with the jute. Also, I glued the bottom with hot glue, and I added floral foam. Now, I do later on, the two end pieces, I do take them off, because keep in mind, this is more of a tips and tricks kind of video, because you've probably seen people make centerpieces 100 times. I will be making another centerpiece, but it will be with signs. It's going to be a square box kind of crate. The more floral foam you use, the bigger piece, the more flowers you're going to have to use, because you're going to have to cover the floral foam. I wanted a substantial piece, so I used a lot of floral foam. I do take those two end pieces because it was just a lot more floral foam than I needed. I did use probably between $15 and $20 worth of Dollar Tree flowers. This entire centerpiece is made with Dollar Tree items. I didn't get everything, including the glue sticks, is from Dollar Tree. If you see the cutters right there, those are a trick that I use. Those are in the pet section. Those are the pet nail clippers. They work great for cutting your floral stems. If you want a smaller centerpiece, you can put a smaller piece of foam in the middle and cut your stems shorter. It'll bring them tighter into the pumpkin, and it'll be a smaller, you'll actually see when I'm done with the centerpiece, it really doesn't look like a pumpkin anymore when I'm done. It comes out beautiful, and it's a beautiful centerpiece, but the pumpkin is definitely not the highlight of the centerpiece. If you want the pumpkin to be the focal point, use a smaller piece of foam and shorter stems on your flowers, which will bring the flowers closer to the pumpkin frame, and you'll use less flowers. I put I think in the front I have the sunflowers because I want that to be the front. I didn't put sunflowers. I put more of dahlia in the back because I really, where I'm going to put it, you can see 360 that it's full, but you're only going to really see one side of it. So I wanted the sunflowers to be the front. All the flowers, I have wheat in here, I have berries in here. The key to this is put the flowers that you like. I know in the fall you're going to want to put yellows and oranges and burgundies, and if you don't like sunflowers, don't use sunflowers. If you love sunflowers and don't like dahlias, use all sunflowers, and use some of the burgundy small berries and the green ones. Use those as a filler. You could fill with leaves. I didn't put any leaves in this centerpiece, but you can put leaves as a filler, because you're going to want to cover that no matter what angle you look at the centerpiece, you're not going to see any floral foam. Even though it's green, it's not a natural green for this time of year. So I do put in the wheat stems, and I leave them long because I want this to be a wide centerpiece. I also, what I do first, my sunflowers and my wheat stems, I didn't cut the pieces apart. All my other florals, for me, it's easier if you notice that I cut each stem so that they are separate, and I could put them in, move them out. See how I have each stem cut? I have them in the longest you can make it because I did want this to be a bigger piece. If you want this to be a smaller piece and you want the pumpkin to be the focal point, cut the stems shorter. I don't plan on reusing these flowers, so I did cut them apart. I know a lot of crafters like to keep them all in one piece so that they could take them out and reuse them. I'm going to use this centerpiece, and there's a good chance I probably will give it away. I don't keep a lot of the pieces I make because I just don't have the room for it. I did cut the cattails off. I cut the pine cones off, and if you could see here, I don't show you every single piece of flower that I'm putting in because it did take me a while. That's why it cuts in and out. Sorry that the centerpiece is not in the frame, but I'm going to show you. This is what it looks like so far. It is very full, but and every once in a while I'll stop. I'll put it like it was on the table, step back and look at it, just to see which angle I need to fill in more. But I'm very OCD about it being equal. So I will put, if I put 2 green stems on one side, I put 2 green stems in the other side. And because the Dollar Tree flowers, most flowers that you buy are not going to always be the exact size. Like one of my sunflower stems was a little bit longer than the other. I just cut it to make it equal. One of my pine cones fell off. Easy enough. I put a little dab of hot glue on it and glued it back to the stem. You'll see that I used the mini carnations, the mini mums. They look like carnations. The mini mums. I used the mini sunflowers, the big sunflowers. I used dahlias. I used even the pitberry wire, the wired pitberry. I just made tendrils around my finger, or you could put it around a pencil, and I stuck them in so that you can kind of see them coming out. I didn't put a lot, I put a few. I did put a couple of stems of cotton, but the main thing is that you put the flowers that you like as your main focus, and then fill with your secondary flowers. You're not going to want to use a centerpiece that you don't like the flowers. If you don't like roses, don't put roses in a centerpiece because you're not going to use it. I just showed you the small glass vase. Now they have several different vases to choose from. I left a small space in the middle for this vase if I want to put a candle. I won't be burning a candle. If I use one, it'll be an LED candle, because I don't want to start a fire. But I will be putting a very simple bow on the top. And for Thanksgiving, if I want to light a candle, I may remove the bow. That's why I did wrap the twine around the stem of the centerpiece, because for Thanksgiving, if I want to put candles in there and light them, LED of course, I don't know how much light you'll get with the bow on it. I'm going to try it and see. This is a very simple bow. I am not the queen of bows. I don't make elaborate bows. That's all Dollar Tree ribbon. It's the green burlap, the orange burlap, and the red truck. I just made 5-inch loops on each side. I took the wired jute and wrapped it around the middle, and that's how I made it. I mean, it is the simplest bow that you could possibly make. And I left the edges of the wired jute because once I twist it on, I'm not going to tie it and I'm not going to hot glue it in case I want to take the bow off. I will make tendrils with what's left. Now at the bottom, I can see a little bit of green close to where the base is. So I got some Spanish moss. Now at this point, Spanish moss is extremely messy. But I'm okay with it. If you're okay with it, you put Spanish moss. If you want something neater and less crazy for you, you don't want to use any more hot glue, they have leaves at Dollar Tree. Just get a couple of picks of leaves and you could fill in the very bottom all around the centerpiece with, they have yellow, they have orange, they have burgundy with browns, and you could just poke leaves all around the bottom of it so that you feel like nothing's showing. When it's on the table, you can't see any green. This is mostly to make me feel better because I just, if I move it, if I tilt it, I don't want to see the green. So I'm just hot gluing some Spanish moss around the bottom of the entire base. Even on the sides, I fill in the sides a little bit with the Spanish moss. Like I said, it's really, I will cut it in chunks and then pull it a little. That seems to be the least amount of mess, and it still made a hot mess. But I love the centerpiece. It came out amazing. Like I said, I went to the Dollar Tree today, and they still, even though I didn't see any of the sunflowers, they still have a huge array of flowers. You could probably make centerpieces up until Thanksgiving. That's how many flowers they have. Don't think that these are the flowers you have to use because these are the flowers. This is just inspiration to show you that you can make it small, you can make it large. This pumpkin is just your base, and as you put as many flowers as you want in it. If you could see the pit berries at the bottom, I just twisted them a little bit to make some tendrils. This is the bow attached to the top, and see I left the wired jute. I'm going to wrap it around a pen or my finger and then cut it so I have little jute tendrils that come down the sides of the pumpkin. But realistically, if you look at it, you can't even really tell that it's a pumpkin. I know it's a pumpkin, and up close, I guess you can see. You can see the little wires of it. But it is a huge centerpiece. It's meant, really, for a huge Thanksgiving table. This is a picture of it. Thank you for sharing your time with me.